Welcome to everyone joining. My name is Sanne Breimer. I'm the moderator of this webinar. And we had another webinar on Sunday, and the recording will be shared soon. So you can have a look at that as well. And now I first want to introduce you to Sonia Piscayanti, who is my friend, and Sonia and I organized this together. She's a writer, academic researcher in the field of language and literature education. She's founder of the Singaraja Literary Festival. She's currently working on her PhD about language learning through the mindfulness approach. Her latest work is Raya Raya Cinta, which is an anthology of drama scripts. And for the international people, they might also know her from the project Sebelas Ibu, Sebelas Panggung, Sebelas Kisah, that got international recognition and that she also toured with internationally. So Sonia, I want to give you the chance now to also tell us a little bit more about the festival. And this year is the first time, so please explain to us what is the idea behind it.
Okay, thank you, Sanne. First of all, I would like to welcome you all. I have seen Pak Rio, apa kabar? Ada Erma, tentunya juga ada Mbak Devi, Gus Dark, para speakers kita, ada Dr. Arya, ada Mas Andre Siaresa juga bergabung, speakers. Thank you so much for attending this pra-event webinar. So Singaraja Literary Festival is aimed at exploring the manuscript that is kept in Gedong Kirtia for a long time. And we want to make these manuscripts more heard and more contextual in the form of many many kinds of discussion and performances and other texts, because we believe that Singaraja is the center of intellectual, and Singaraja is a center of education space in the past and is still now. But then younger generation seem to be seem a little bit forgetting that we have Gedong Kirti as the center of intellectual in the past. So Singaraja Literary Festival now want to raise again the awareness that Singaraja is the center. And through this festival, I invite many speakers. I make this one of the webinars that we plan to gain the insights from Devi and Gus Dark art about the shift of Bali from time to time. But Devi from the perspective of women, because she's from Magdalene, and Gus Dark maybe from the visual art, how Bali changes from time to time. And I thank you both for your valuable time spent on this webinar. Thank you. Yeah. Enough?
Great. Yeah. And now we're going to continue. Thanks so much, Sonia. Great to hear. And yeah, we all hope that this is just the beginning of a continuous collaboration, and of course, the organization of Singaraja Literary Festival. So I'm going to introduce the speakers today. And I also want to say, if you do have any questions during our conversation, please put them in the chat. And we gonna take them with us. It would be really nice to really have a conversation with everyone here. Let me share my screen again. And then I think you can see the slides with Devi and Gus. So our guests of today, Devi Asmarani, she's editor-in-chief and co-founder of the women-focused web magazine Magdalene. She has 26 years experience in journalism, and she began at the Jakarta Post, followed by the Straits Times of Singapore, where she wrote news reports, in-depth articles and analysis on various issues from politics, conflicts, terrorism to natural disasters. She also has written columns, articles, essays, as well as works of fiction for various local and international publications. She's also a writing and journalism instructor and a gender and media facilitator. She's worked as a consultant with international organizations. And she's the recipient of the S.K. Trimurti Awards for her work in promoting gender equality in journalism. And Devi, we're very happy to have you here. And you're going to have a conversation today with Gus. And Gus is Balinese, born in the east of Bali in 1982. He loves drawing, music, and movies. And since he was a kid, he was showing so much love for arts that in the local area, everybody knew if you want to have something drawn by Gus, he's there to help you. So he studied graphic design in Yogyakarta. And as a cartoonist, he has done several exhibitions. He's a member of Pakarti also, Persatuan Cartoonist Indonesia, and is well known in the Indonesian cartoonist community. He was the second winner in a poster competition for Indonesian Anti-Corruption Month, and also does workshops in creating political cartoons. So I'm going to stop sharing and I'm going to highlight our guests for everyone so we can have them in full attention. So actually I want to start with you, Gus, as the Balinese speaker. Welcome. And also Devi, welcome.
Thank you everyone for coming.
I was wondering, Gus, if you tell people that you're from Bali, how do you describe Bali as a place to people who have not ever been there before? What do you tell them?
Okay, that's an interesting question, because when I do, in the late 90s, doing MIRC, the chat application, the first chat application, and people asking where you from, and then I said I'm from Bali, and some of them is still questioning where is Bali. So the easiest thing for me to tell them is I'm from a tropical island that near Australia. So people will think that Australia is a very well-known continent. So apart from that, there's a tropical island, and that's Bali. I think that's the simplest way I always say to people that never been to Bali. Because if I telling them about a lot of things, it's probably too much for them. But I want them to share some experience, and maybe but for now it's easier to get the information about Bali and Indonesia. But back then in the late of 90s, I guess people searching Bali from books and maybe from photos, like the legendary Blirio Helmi here, one of my favorite person.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so yeah, I think nowadays a lot of people know Bali already, and like you say, through pictures that Rio made of Bali, a lot of people will have a good image of it. But so you're saying it's a tropical island close to Australia. That's interesting. And then Devi, actually same question for you. You are from Jakarta. And you often go also to Bali to visit for business reasons, sometimes holiday reasons. But how do you describe Bali, or how do you talk about Bali as Jakartan people among each other?
Well, this is really funny because the opposite of Gus Dark, I have been in situations where people ask me where I'm from, and I tell them I'm from Indonesia, and they don't know where Indonesia is. And then they would say, and I would say Bali, and they know where Bali is, or they know what Bali is at least. I don't think, especially for Americans, I don't think they know where it is, but they would know what Bali is. Like, to them, it's something that is, a lot known for a lot of, I guess, good things, especially one probably being in their bucket list. I am from, I'm not really from Jakarta. I would never consider myself from Jakarta because even though I was born here and I've lived here for the past maybe, I guess, 27 years, but I lived in many different parts of Indonesia. So sometimes I think my conception of Bali is different than people I know in Jakarta who think of Bali as their place of, as their like playground, as a place where they can, they can dress whatever they like, they can have a kind of charm lifestyle, they can drink pork, eat pork, because some of my Muslim friends even go to Bali to eat pork. They think it's fine because they're traveling. And so they, it's a very nice place for them to relax, to for R&R. I'm not sure how like connected they are to the Balinese in terms of like, other than that as a tourist place. For me, I'm connected to Bali in 3 different reasons, like you said, working, holiday, and also for some of my yoga stuff. So there's some spirituality in it too. And I think during the spiritual parts of my relationship with Bali is that where I feel that connection more than a lot of non-Balinese Indonesians feel towards Bali. So I don't know if that makes sense, but
Well, I wonder, I mean, there's already so much coming up now that I have questions about. Bali is near Australia, for example, is kind of funny to me also because I learned that Australian media sometimes think Bali is part of Australia, and they don't even acknowledge it as part of Indonesia. But what you were saying, Devi, about a spiritual part and you doing yoga, that is also an interesting point because a lot of people come to Bali, a lot of tourists come to Bali for the spirituality, and then that kind of spirituality is not always connected to the Balinese spirituality. So how do you see that?
Yeah, okay. Well, so when I first started doing the yoga teachers training, that was like in so it was in 2006. So it was still in the early stage of, the Eat, Pray, Love crowd. The book had just been published maybe for a couple of years. And so people are just starting getting into it. And there's a lot of tourists going there. And there's maybe 1 or 2 vegan places. And, that like it's just starting. And there's a lot of respect as well. There's a lot of, I guess, wannabes, and people want to kind of, have this Julia Roberts or Elizabeth Gilbert's life. Also, they want to adopt that kind of lifestyle. So for me at the time, it was there was some a bit of annoying things, the kind of white people thing, the gentrification going, but it's not as it is now. And I think there's not so much of appropriation that we see now. There's not so much of things that are being apa ya, dibungkus as spirituality, but really it's, I don't know what they are. So I think if I were to go there now for yoga, I probably would rather, do it somewhere else, maybe in Thailand or India, because the scene is just so absurd sometimes for me, like when I see it, and it's I'm not sure it's healthy for the bodies. But I want to go back to the spirituality part. When I said that I actually see a different part of Bali when I was doing this teacher's training and I was living in an actual village, renting a house, I just realized that as an Indonesian, as a non-Balinese Indonesian, I have known Bali more from the lens of, outsider. And I didn't really know like what people, like the real like locals do and things like that. So when I live in the house, in a rented house with the owner of the house, and I look at like what they do every morning, how they eat their meals and how the children and how they prepare the bantan and all that stuff. And I was like thinking, wow, this is like what a privilege to be this close and to see, and like this is how people have been living in an island where, you know, you don't get so much interference, you don't get so much the influence is not so much that it changes your lifestyle, that it's still there, your way of life. So it was, for me, it was a really eye-opening experience at the time, even though of course I was taking teachers training from from overseas yoga school. Yeah, so
yeah. And you mentioned the word appropriation also, and you now mention also the influence of tourists coming to Bali and how that has changed over the years, gotten more intense. Gus, how do you see that? Because maybe you can also tell us a little bit about how do you see the change over the last decade, for example, the last 10 years?
I think from the when the tourism starts, Bali already changed, but it's bit by a bit.
Your
because,
audio is
our
not.
culture is.
I think, yeah. Could you?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a little bit cracking, but go on. Let's see how it goes.
Okay. So actually, Bali is already changing a bit by a bit from when the tourism starts. But then I see, as a Balinese, I see the massive project infrastructure built during the COVID-19 era, because a lot of people selling their lands cheaper, and then a lot of blueprint projects discussed between the government and investor without sharing, talking with the people in the village, especially. Just like what we've seen right now in East Bali, Karangasem Regency. There's a massive development, like a big resort near the temple that already get they say they already got permit during the COVID-19, and then they start to build, and now it's already like 60% almost done. And when people start to react about the project, and they try to, turn the case from village people that want to preserve their culture and their land into a criminal one. So right now, I want you guys to know that 16 people, probably 16 or 13 people, now put in jail for that right now.
Wow. Yeah.
So I think that's what we call a massive infrastructure and massive development. Now it's not just a issue, but something reality, and I have to face it, because at first I thought it's only happened in the South Bali, because a lot of big project now in South, and then everybody want to build something in South Bali, because there's a lot of thing that support that. I mean, like you have an airport near there, you have the harbor, you have a lot of place to support the project. But then when it come to my own area in East Bali, it's become something that really shocked me, because I thought at first the government, the local government in Karangasem will, trying to create something different, because at first they want to create like a more spiritual tourism, and then now it's really changing. They start to create something like Uluwatu style, Kuta style, or Canggu style without asking the people first. And I have to react that with I have to act with that issue with my own art. So I create several artworks after discussing with doing discussion with the people from Bubug Karangasem. Yeah, that's from my side.
Yeah, I'm just halfway also looking up. I'm just going to share my screen for a moment because I think, I'm not sure, but this is maybe also one of the artworks that is about the topic. Or it's maybe you can explain what did you draw here and what is it about?
Okay, this one is about developing more like something that not really Balinese culture. We have a small stop or warungs and everything, and then for the sake of globalization, for the sake of economic things, and they try to turn that cultural thing into something more modern, like you see in Sukawati art market, and then Gianyar traditional market. They change into something that not us, something that more modern, something that make Balinese afraid to go there, just to buy some rice or to buy something in the traditional market. I think this is what we call developing without doing discussion with the people, with the villagers, and just they create a blueprint and then talk with the investor and start developing. That happened in East Bali too. One of the market is now is nobody's selling there. It's just after build it, and then in a couple months nobody going there. That's what I call something that's not been discussed with the people.
Yeah, because we see that quite a lot in Bali. I saw also a video going around on social media last week about how the rice fields disappeared throughout the last couple of years, and then especially the footage is about the south of Bali, where there's so much construction going on all the time. But what you're saying, actually, it really surprised you that even the east of Bali, there's the type of thinking towards new initiatives, and the local people don't really get a voice in that sense. So what could be a solution to this, or what is what are your thoughts about stopping certain developments?
I think the local government should more open to us, to the Balinese people, to the real owner of the island, about what their plan, what they are going to do with the island, where are we going. Sometimes the blueprint of the development is not discussed with the people. Sometimes they're hiding something.
Yeah.
And that's why some of the projects is suddenly become something that against the people. Just like I think we have to stop compromising things that in the end hurting the people and put our culture in danger.
Yeah,
I think we have to stop doing that.
Yeah, what I have seen, because you also mentioned COVID as a time where it maybe even got accelerated, all the developments. But I also noticed as an outstander, as an outsider, that the voices of the Balinese, like, for example, your voice, Nilu Jelantic voice, they get also stronger in expressing themselves about this topic. And Devi, I don't know, how do you see that from Jakarta? How do you see this development, and also what is your opinion about the what kind of voices do you notice, and has it become more open and out there in relation to before?
Yeah, I'm seeing a lot of different things that are related. One of them is, of course, the pandemic make people in the Indonesian, in the non-Balinese context, especially Jakarta people, is that they see life as like not worth waiting anymore. So like if one of their bucket lists is to live in Bali, then they decided that. So there's a lot of my friends have actually moved there, relocated there. I don't know for how long, because sometimes they also realize that when you live in Bali, it's different than when you're holidaying in Bali, because then, you know, it's like real life, right? And then the other thing is also that I'm noticing a lot is that there's a lot of you know, with the Russian war, and also with the so there's a lot of influx of people from that part of the world, and maybe not all of them are quite ready to be kind of global citizen or nomad citizen in a best of way, but and a lot of them may be escaping something from their countries. And then another thing that I also notice is that, you know, this attention economy that makes everybody becomes a you know, content creator. Everybody has this main character syndrome, that they have to be, you know, the star of everything. Everything in their life has to show the kind of, you know, whatever. It's like, so so all that now, and Bali being a place, a really nice place, and beautiful in many ways, although like I agree with Gus Dark, all this development is really kind of alarming, but Bali becomes a hub for all this, right? People who are kind of burnout living in Jakarta, and then people escaping something, and then people who are also there for, you know, to create content and to become, you know, whatever, main characters in their social sphere. So, and the result, I think the Balinese get left behind. Like Balinese people, the locals become kind of footnote in this, you know, in this phase, in this whole thing. And so I'm seeing this is the reason why there's stronger voices coming from Bali, and also ironically using social media, which is like the platform that is also kind of, you know, encouraging all this stuff. And I don't agree with everything that Nilu's posting and how she reacts, but I actually think that Balinese people need people like her, you know, because it seems like there is a sense of helplessness when it comes to certain things, because yes, Balinese are relying so much their economy on tourism, on hospitality industry, but it's also they cannot be a footnote in their own, you know, history, as you know, when it's happening right now, what is happening right now. So I think you know, people like Gus Dark here, people like Nilu, and I don't know other people, maybe, you know, some content creators now, I don't know who are behind them, whether they're locals or they're Balinese, or maybe they're long-term expats in Bali. But there are just signs of time. Like there are signs that the Balinese seem kind of fed up with not being the main character in their own place, and, you know, having people becoming main characters in their own place and doing all this stuff that are kind of hurting their integrity also, or hurting their dignity in that sense. So I'm watching it with with a lot of interest, and I think it's worth paying attention to this beyond the case by case thing that happens every day. Nilu always posts new things every day, but it's worth to see this pattern that are emerging and what we should do with it. As a Jakarta, as a non-Balinese Indonesians, I would also like to kind of mention the fact that sometimes we do have resentment towards the Balinese people. There are many cases of Jakarta people going to Bali, going to some of these places, and are being treated as second class compared to like Western tourists. And this is the truth, because I've also experienced this. Like sometimes they were not getting the service as well as the Westerners. Sometimes they are being discriminated in some clubs. Even they were turned down. I had been turned down in one of those clubs that were bombed in Bali. And so there is that relationship also. There's that tension in the relationship, which I think needs to be fixed as well, because we know when there's problems with tourism industry in terms of, like, for example, like the Bali bombings, the pandemic, and several other cases. I think it was I don't know if it's bird flu or something else, but it's the Indonesians, the non-Balinese Indonesians that go to Bali, and we do love Bali, but we also have problems with the way some of us are being treated. And so I think there needs to be that conversation as well. But I'm also seeing it from a view that, well, yeah, a lot of Indonesians also seeing Bali as only a place that provides service to them, that give them nice place, sell them stuff, but it's not really like it's a place where there are people who actually live here, and so I think that relationship needs to be more explored and fixed, maybe, because in the absence of a real measures to curb all this quote unquote bule gila that are now like this phenomenon. I think the Indonesians can do something also, like on the Balinese side, like, I don't know, maybe just kind of strengthening their positions to curb some of this antics, some of this craziness that are being brought in Bali.
Yeah, Gushi, do you want to respond to that?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I heard about the issue about how people in the hospitality industry actually they should do hospitality, but they're doing something that's more, based on how much money you have. So I think that's showing the gap in the Balinese life. But we already, I try to put myself in their shoe. I mean, they already give so much for this industry, but the gap still so deep between the head and the poor in Bali, because at some part of Bali you still see there's no lights, there's no there's a lot of kids that are not going to school, and there's a lot of beggar in the street. Sometimes I just wondering with this kind of billion the visa that the tourism industry get, but how come we can still see kids not going to school in Bali, or how the parents struggle to put their children in school, or to fulfill their daily needs. I guess sometimes we expect too much that people that working in the restaurant or in the tourism place that will, always serve you, but then deep inside they hurt. So I guess I'm not blaming Jakartan people or other people, and I'm not telling they're wrong, but sometimes we need to put empathy with the people who works there. Like they have to smile like more than 8 hours, and then when they go home, they just have nothing. I think that's my own perspective, but I think that's because the industry is really eating some people's soul. They always see something as things that you can buy. Maybe that's causes that problem. But for personally, I think when people working in hospitality industry, they have to, more put their soul in it. But I think not everyone ready for that. So a lot of people just see it as a work.
Yeah.
Sometimes you get stressed at work. You get a lot of complaints at work. And that's work. I mean, that's not everybody in Bali is in holiday. Even though we live like in a tourist place in a holiday island, but actually a lot of people still struggling daily. I think that's a good answer.
Yeah, I'm thinking, is there something that people who visit Bali, because I think a lot of people who visit Bali don't know this, they don't really know what is happening behind the tourism scene. They don't know that the Balinese get quite low wages for working in the industry, even if they work in very successful places. Their wage is still kind of minimum. But is there something that people who visit Bali can do to, better pay respect to the people in the islands? What are your thoughts about that, Gus?
Yes, even though they're working in a big company or big place, but still they earn something from the service charge. So sometimes they really want it so much. I mean, the basic salary probably is not enough for them. All they want is trying to get more people to come, because they tend to depending on the service charge. That's why some people forget that they are in the hospitality industry, but they act just like people with pressure to get more and more clients to come and buy their foods and everything. So
yeah,
I think that's my point of view.
Yeah, Irma is also asking a question about that. I will summarize it a little bit. I guess, Irma, feel free to unmute yourself and ask it to Gus if you want. But what you're saying at the end is actually like, we cannot all be like Nilu Jelantik, but we can do something. And how should we speak out against nature and culture exploitation? Because there is also part of Bali who really wants to embrace the investors and take part in this massive development. I guess economically, it's also an opportunity. And maybe this is also something that Devi can say something about, because as a editor-in-chief of Magdalene, you know quite well how, for example, women can speak out for a certain cause and let their voices be heard. So what would your answer be to this question before I go to Gus?
Honestly, I don't know, and I like because the question is like how can we raise awareness among the Balinese. There's always going to be tension between economy and the dignity of a place, of a nation, of a people. So I think it really is depending on the Balinese, and also like who they choose to represent them. Like politically, I think the Balinese need to be stronger on like getting somebody that are not just gonna be the pawns of investors, that have their this kind of perspective. I think that would be very very important. I don't know like who your caleg and your calon pemimpin is next year, but if it is somebody who who has this kind of vision, I think that would be one step forward. But then we also know that election is really like a lot of it is, there's a lot of horse trading and things like that. So I'm not trying to be pessimistic, but I would really love to hear what Gus Dark has to say about this, because I think this is a serious Balinese issue.
Yeah, please, Gus, go ahead.
So actually, honestly, I drawing about that issue. What I want to say is Bali is like having a real leader, the one that really come from the roots of Bali. Because what we see right now is people who appointed by the Jakarta to work to govern in Bali. I mean, the first governor, Ida Bagus Mantra, probably doing the best ever as a Balinese, because he's start from this island, and then the next president choose people to lead Bali, and then it's become a culture to appoint people that can take care of Bali, like us giving order from Jakarta to Bali. So we really need a person as a really Balinese leader that can lead us, that speak up about what we feel, not just compromising everything with the I'm sorry, I have to call Jakarta people in Senayan, in our representative, because this is what happened when people speak up for us. They're not trying to understand what we feel and what we want.
Yeah.
They just they're trying to get a win-win solution, like what happened in the Teluk Benoa era, when we fight to preserve the Teluk Benoa. All of the main media try to, they're trying to shut down the news, so it's not come out from the island. So we struggling to spread the news about the situation, but at that time only few people heard about the issue. Seemed like reclamation in Serangan, Pulau Serangan, and then the Benoa, and now the LNG project in Sanur. There's a lot of big project, but the outside people, not in the Bali Island, is not really heard about the issue, because.
But you with your cartoons, you also have quite a lot of reach, right? So I guess regarding Irma's question also, like what can you do? There are different tools to be used to speak out, I guess. Like Nilu is using her Instagram, you are using your cartoons. Other people can use different forms to express themselves. And I think you also see the effect of your work, right? Or how do you see that?
Yeah, I think I use my talent to, to share awareness, and I really hope that the generation now and then the next generation using their knowledge, their talent to more speak up about Bali and to fix Bali. I mean, like we're not the best people. We're not the perfect. We try to fix ourselves first. Like we have to go back to our root, and then because in Bali we believe that without our root we are dying. Root is really important to us. Like a plant without root, even though they're living in the good soil and then good in a good farmer hands, but without the roots, the plant is dying. So I need to share awareness about the Balinese should empower the traditional village, the desa adat, call it desa adat. So we have to become a filter for ourselves, because right now a lot of politics coming to the traditional village and then ruin everything, and divided people into separated people into few communities, micro communities. So
yeah,
I think before we can shout out to the government, we have to strengthen ourselves as the one voice for a village to defend our own culture. I think
yeah,
the more people brave free to speak up, I think the more good for Bali. Otherwise, we will, become slave of the industry, because a lot of people thinks that Balinese is really poor people before the tourism exists, which is not true, because I think now a lot of people learn a lot about the Bali culture, back to our root, and then I think that's the one of the other way to preserve Bali and the Balinese culture.
yeah. But when we were talking about discussing this topic in a webinar, I mean, you easily get to speak about all the tourists that misbehave and the people coming from outside. But what you're actually touching on now, and I think it's a little bit similar as what Rio put in the chat, is that there is so much internal chaos in Balinese society that actually needs to be discussed to have a good answer towards the influences from outside. Rio, if you want to unmute yourself and talk a little bit more about that, please do.
Yeah, hi.
Hello.
Sorry, I didn't mean to write such a long thing, but it just kind of came out.
That's okay.
But I think we have to be careful. This whole development is very complex, and it's been years in the building. And as Gus Dark mentioned, probably the last governor who really made any sense, was how long ago was that? Oh God.
Too long to remember.
30, 40 years ago. But since then there's been this play between, you have to look at it, it's a whole lot of things, because as I said in my chat there, Balinese are very clannish. They're extremely clannish. and they're extremely caste conscious. The ones down here, up in the mountains, they don't have caste, but they have their own clan lines, you know. And so there was this phenomenon in Balinese, they call it kohomong, you know, they don't want to, you know, they don't want to talk, and they don't want to be the corner, they don't want to be the person who's, you know, standing out, you know. And there's this idea that all grass should be cut at the same level, you know, nobody. And so it's with this new changes where people have, you know, economic power, that whole system has been completely broken down, you know. So it doesn't matter if you're Ida Bagus, it doesn't matter if you're Anak Agung, it doesn't matter if you're whoever, you know, it doesn't matter if you're not Jamboli Dijo, you know. It's just, you know, if you have money, your power, you know, and your clan, whether it's Pasaks or whatever it is, you know, they will come around you, you know. But if somebody, for example, when we had the famous Governor Okay, you know, Mr. Okay, and Mr. Okay was hated by many people because of the things that he did, but his caste, nobody wanted to go up and say, hey, you know, this is ridiculous. Stop this. No, I mean, he broke down the whole green belt. That was his, you know, his contribution was, because the original, I mean, I saw so many master plans in Bali, I can't even remember how many I saw, you know. Every year there was another one, you know, and the only thing that was green about the green belt was the dollars, you know. And money rules, yes, we understand the need for money, but this idea of mass tourism, because it's such quick and easy money, is one of the most destructive things. And if you think about this, in the 80s, for example, there was a thriving craft industry. People were exporting crafts. They still do, but it was made complicated. You know, then the tax people jumped on it, and it became so complicated. The easy thing was the tourism industry. And I remember, I have a very distinct memory of Yopa Ave, the late minister. One day we were in a conversation with a bunch of people, and I was, you know, doing what I usually do, you know, saying uncomfortable things. And he said, you know, Rio, you have to get with this, you know. Bali doesn't belong to the Balinese, it doesn't belong to any of you people who have these opinions. Bali now belongs to the world. I have a very distinct memory of those words. And that for me was a signal, you know. Okay, so when we talk about, you know, the what do you call it, this disempowerment of the Balinese society, I mean, there are intellectuals who have in Bali who have had, you know, great influence, and, you know, but where are those people who can rally people around them again? You know, Ibu Gedong, you know.
That's maybe a good question also to ask Sonia.
Maybe Sonia, you know, I mean, you know,
Sonia,
where's the Ibu Gedong? She was part of the Singaraja education elite, you know. Where,
well, yeah, maybe Sonia, you can say something about that, because I mean, the Singaraja Literary Festival wants actually also to really spotlight the intellectual side of Bali, right? And the people who can lead in thoughts and ideas. So what can we expect someone from that community to stand up and create a vision for Bali? Or what would your vision be? Because you are an intellectual woman from this region.
Okay, I'm feeling, what is it? I agree to Pak Rio to see Bali shift from time to time, and I'm here in Singaraja. I am feeling more blessed, more grateful than South, because here is slow. Nothing much changes. So yeah, and what we have here is actually we have what is it, slow business here, like the world is peaceful here. So that's why when I go to South, I see that so many crowds, so many what is it, traffic jam, and I don't feel that I don't feel that it is necessary for us to have this kind of fast life. And here we are in North, we have different type of Bali, because maybe nobody wants to move here because this is too far away from the center. But somehow this filtered people from being being massively building business here in North. And I'm wishing not many business people will come to North, because if they come, they will ruin everything. So from my perspective, from education and art, I believe that a younger generation could prevent their land from uh, extinction, from the land extinction, because they now have the awareness to be back to the culture, like what we have, like in Pedawe, in Tigawase, in Sidetape. They have a very strong culture that could not be changed by any business people. I think they have this strong culture that nobody could change. So they hold on that strongly. And I believe through education also, younger generation will start to believe that money is at the end is nothing compared to the price that we will pay for what comes after the money. So yeah, and I'm feeling grateful that in Singaraja we have community of art where women, for example, I have a community of mothers where we open up our minds about how do we prevent our town from being too massive for tourism, for example, or too massive for business. So we built our own identity through art and through theater particularly. And I think we have each other. Though we don't have much money, for example, we share stories, we share our vision, and together we feel stronger. And I think Singaraja is very different case. Yeah, I don't know. Some of people say that like South is too white now, so many white people there. And Ubud too, Erma is complaining about Ubud right now.
I was
And
one of these people.
yeah. Oh yeah, you too. Yeah. And here for example, I drive from place to place here in Singaraja only 5 minutes, and no complaining at all, no pollution. So I think South also could slow down their their development by having again the culture of being slow, like in the past. Balinese is actually cannot be measured by fast timing. Yeah, we have our own timing, and we do believe in karma, for example. So slow is beautiful. I believe that okay, so back to Singaraja Literary Festival, it is actually why do we raise this issue again? Because we want to learn what what our elder people left us with, their legacy, and we want to study about their wisdom in the past, so they have wonderful and blessed life. So this is one of the visions of Singaraja Literary Festival, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and is it still, I mean, maybe Devi, you can also say something about this, because you lead a magazine that is very much focusing on the strength of women, and stories that are actually also related to what's happening in the whole world, where dollars are so important nowadays. We live in a very capitalistic global world, I think. But is it still, can we still take a step back, or is it almost too late? Or how do you discuss that, for example, in your newsroom, Magdalene?
yeah, I don't think we can step back. Like, I'm listening to what Rio was saying, and I'm like, it really, this is like so complex that, and putting all the layers of the whole system of the clan system, the caste system, and then putting in the impacts of colonialism that Teraya was talking about, and the late stage capitalism and all that. Like, yeah, it's really hard to step back. But what I think, I'm not entirely pessimistic, because I think there, in every situation there will be opportunities. And I think what Sonia is doing with the community, building a community of women, empowering them, giving agencies, and also like creating this pockets of I guess where people can share knowledge as well as their perspective, and kind of circulating new thoughts, or thoughts that are maybe have been brewing individually. I think that is like one step forward to towards kind of fixing society, or maybe putting a break on some things. And I totally agree with what Sonia was saying, that slow is beautiful. And I think this is what is happening in Bali, is that everything is so fast. I have to tell you, like, I have a few friends who have moved to Bali. I have some friends who buy properties in Bali, and I cannot tell you, I love them to death, but I really don't like what they're doing. And sometimes I have to, like, drop it. I have to talk to them like gently. I'm like saying, what you're doing is colonialism in a new way, in a financial colonialism. Okay, maybe these people are selling because they want money, maybe they need money or something, but it's like, we don't have to take part in it. It's not something that we need to normalize. And I think because Balinese being an island, it's just, I believe this whole, Jakarta people, or people from outside of Bali, like, apa ya, kalau orang Indonesia caplok, like, buying up properties there, whether for themselves or a lot of them for investment reason. I think that is something that is concerning, and maybe there needs to be a stricter policy or regulation against outsider buying property. I know that is very anti-capitalism, but I think that needs to be thought more carefully, especially with Bali being an island, So that's one of my concern of the day. But yeah, I think what Sonia is doing, and in some ways what Nilu is also doing with the community of people who are fed up with things. That's just, some of the ways that shows how people are responding to this crisis, that they know that they're not nggak baik-baik aja, ya, mengutip Mbak Erma, they're not baik-baik aja, so something needs to be done.
Yeah, I think also the work of Gus, the highlight that is being put on the local people and give them a voice. That's actually what you're also doing through your cartoons. We mentioned the influence of colonialism. So those are my ancestors from the Netherlands. And I think colonial history is now also such a topic in global discussions, and how the colonial structures are working through into our societies today. And as someone who studied decolonization a bit the last couple of years, all the elements that you all are mentioning are actually also kind of decolonial acts, seeking community, highlighting the voices of the underrepresented people, the local people, but also seeking tools in arts and writing to speak out against what's happening. So that's Teraya, you were saying, I don't know if you want to unmute yourself and say a little bit more about that, because I think you're also doing interesting research about Bali. So maybe you want to, please.
Hi, sorry my camera is off because I'm not camera ready right now. It's still
It's
very
early
early
where
in the
you are.
morning. Yes. I mean, I have my coffee, I can speak. Thank you so much. First of all, thank you so much for everyone who shared their thoughts, and Mbak Devi and Gus. I've admired your works, and very happy to share this online space with you all. And thank you for organizing. This is excellent. So yeah, I am a PhD candidate in American Studies and Ethnicity, but my focus is on power relation and race relation and also decolonization. And my dissertation is on Bali, and it's very interesting. When I started to work on my dissertation about 6 years ago, I know I've been in school for a long time. And all these post-COVID conflicts in Bali is happening. So I've been paying close attention to everything. And the reason why I bring colonialism in the conversation is because the way I think about colonialism is never separate from racism, for instance. And it starts from our very idea of who gets to lead the world, or whose kind of thinking, or what epistemology rules the world, right? So what I'm seeing, or based on my research and what I'm seeing on these patterns, is that the legacy of colonialism is rarely talk about or become like the center of conversation in like discussion like this. And mainly it's also because like we people in the global south, in Indonesia for example, the way we talk about history is very censored. So we don't know much about, for instance, domain folkloric and how it's done for us, and the effect of our government, the effect on like on the way our government, become corrupted. It's all are connected, and we don't really talk about it. And what's happening is that when there's an issue like this in Bali, for instance, sometimes we direct that as if it's the problem that Balinese must solve. So there's so much responsibility towards given to the Balinese, and we don't have the framework to really link it to those larger issues, which is colonialism and racism. So I think it needs to be addressed, and I think Gus and Mbak Devi and all these artists and spokespersons in Bali are doing like really good things, and that they should keep going, because, and also Nafikula speaks up as well. So all these voices are very important, and they need to be amplified because they're taking out the direction towards what I believe is important, and that is having this knowledge how everything is interrelated, like the colonialism and racism. And yeah, I think it's I understand there are issues in Bali communities. Of course, the voices are not in unison. Of course, people are disagree with each other all the time, but there's something, there's a larger issue, and it's important to take the attention away from making the Balinese responsible for this, because it's everybody's responsibility.
Yeah, thank you so much, Teraya. Really interesting. And I think you should join the Singaraja Literary Festival next year, right, Sonia? We will invite you to come. But it's interesting also from the perspective. I lived in Bali for a few years, during the pandemic. And I think I also recognize what Devi is saying in behavior that she sees in her friends, how they treat Bali in many ways. And I, of course, also see that among white people coming on holiday. And I do think there is a lot that you can do in showing different behavior and being more ethical in your visit to the islands. And I think that is also, if we can't immediately change the politics, we can at least really be mindful of how we behave when we visit a place. And that definitely also means being mindful of the colonial legacy and what your position is coming as a white person visiting the island. So yeah, that's I think good to add. Yeah, I see your hand, Rio. I just wanted to also go to Gus because you want to answer Irma's question. We discussed a little bit already, but please, if you have anything to add, please do. And we're also almost going towards the end,
Okay.
I think.
Gus, silakan Gus.
Yeah.
Okay, I think I want to answer Irma. How to bring awareness to Ubud people. I think actually, if you check the latest issue about that hidden city in Ubud, actually a lot of community already react about the issue about that big development that coming in the neighbor, and some of the person contact me, ask me to connect them with the citizen journalism. So I contact my friend in Bali Bengong and ask them to go to Ubud and maybe dig more deeper. I think to share awareness is not about how loud you in the social media, but how you using your network, using your talents to doing good. I mean, like for the citizen journalism or to like a good writer and maybe Singaraja writers, they have to, you know, bring up the issue, doing discussion about this island without scare being banned or scare about the government will shut down the event because sooner or later we have to stand on our own to speak up and be vocal for the island, our homes. I mean, not for the Balinese, but as Blirio said, it's Bali's belong to the world right now. So if you have a love for the island, you have to speak up, no matter how hard it is, no matter what's your nationality, where you come from. But if you love Bali and the culture and everything, you have to step forward and support us. I guess that's how we raising awareness. We have to more the youth to become a citizen journalism. I think that's one of a lot of way to bring awareness on the island because the mainstream media maybe not pick up the issue in the small village or agency in Bali, but the social media can become tools to fight back.
Yeah, I think Devi can also recognize that because as a founder of Magdalene, you also found a media platform that actually carries voices that have not been really heard in mainstream media, right? So what do you think is the role that journalism can play here?
Yeah, I think one of the things that we need to do is that we need to stop looking at Bali as in a one dimension kind of way with the lens of tourism. There's a lot being unheard and unseen in regards to Bali when we use that lens. And a lot of that's how the media see Bali. I can tell you that. And even if they do you know, highlight things that are related to culture, it's still very superficial. And so like I'm actually very grateful to be in this talk, because I feel that I've learned a lot more than probably you all learned from me. But what I'm taking away from this is that really, as somebody who has been, I mean, my first visit to Bali was in the 70s as well, when I was very little. But as somebody who has this interest, this love for Bali from the outside, I think it is also within our interest to protect Bali as well in however way we can. Like for me, maybe I will do some like a lot more critical outlook or critical reporting on Bali, and highlighting voices that are not being heard outside of, you know, the voices that we know coming from Bali at the moment in the media. And yeah, and also like within our circle is that to recognize our privilege and that, you know, we can be a responsible person when we and have fun, like, you know, and visit Bali and be respectable, and know there is this that in whatever we do, there is impact, and that that we are living the legacy of colonialism, and that we shouldn't further inflict that kind of pain, you know, the residual of that pain in whatever forms, whether it's through an economic colonialism or through, you know, disrespect or whatever. And I totally agree with what Gus was saying. Like, yeah, you work in the hospitality industry day in, day out, like you will burn your soul, you know. It's a very tough job, and so we don't like, it's not something to expect people to be like just because you are paying doesn't mean that you should be treating as if you're a king. Of course, it's a different story from what I was saying earlier about the discrimination between the Western tourists and the Indonesian tourists, but that's a different story. But
Yeah.
in all this, I really respect your all the thoughts that were being shared here, and I want to do better in terms of like reporting Bali and talking about Bali, or bringing Bali into discussions in
Thanks so
the
much.
profession.
Well, that's great to hear. Rio, did you want to share one more thing?
I'll try to be brief. It's not my strongest point, but I'll try. I just to connect a little bit with what Traya was talking about was, you know, colonialism. The most powerful tool colonialism has, and still has, is to divide and conquer. You know, you get people working against each other. I mean, we have many instances in Balinese history where Balinese, you know, you had Balinese soldiers going up to fight, you know, in Banjar, you know, in Buleleng, you know, against the, you know, there's always this sort of thing. And the money that comes in also, if you follow the way it works, it's the same thing. They go in, they find somebody in a Banjar or in a Kecamatan or whatever, and then that's the crack. You go in there and then you split it apart and you get what you want. And I'm pretty sure that's probably what happened in Karangasem. You know, I'm almost 100% sure. So what we're really talking about here is, you know, it's endemic in Indonesia, is the lack of political will to really come down on all this sort of stuff and be very clear. And we have regulations. We don't need more regulations. We just need to enforce them, you know. And this coming to the role of journalism. I mean, let's just admit it, you know, the state of Indonesian media. I mean, I was once a journalist, and you know, I'm not claiming that, you know, things were much better back then, but I feel now that the state of journalism in Indonesia, especially on the provincial level, is just pathetic. It's absolutely pathetic. And, you know, I'll give you an example, coming back to the story about the hidden city. I mean, hidden city is, everybody's talking about it. Park, which is a Russian enclave in the middle of Ubud, hectares and hectares of land taken up for this, you know. And the main financier of Park, the head of Park, was featured in, I forget, I won't mention the name of the media, but was featured in there, pictured in his shorts and his, you know, in a shirt, thank goodness. And the officials, local officials in their batik, and they're hailing him as some kind of hero for tourism, you know, mitra, yeah, mitra, you know, mitra pan, you know, like really seriously. And, you know, this guy happens to be, just amongst us, happens to be a big mafiosi, you know.
Yeah.
And the media, they're just sitting there and they're, you know, the reporters, where's the editor, you know? Where's the check and recheck? This thing doesn't exist anymore. And, you know, and this is something which, you know, I really hope, Devi, that it'd be really great if we can get, you know, get this pushing back on that type of journalism to be something which is really, you know, we can, I mean, it's necessary. The education, the level of education, I'm not talking about, you know, just how to write a headline, but really the ethical, the ethics of journalism, you know, and that is something which is very important.
Yeah, as someone who works in journalism, I can say this is also globally going on, where even journalism is, you know, has dollar signs in the eye and really creates clickbait content. And not all journalism, of course, but I mean, there is there are definitely challenges within that industry as well. And a personal anecdote about Park, I was also at some point, somebody told me I should go there for business advice. Every Monday evening, the owner was doing a Q&A. So I thought, okay, I'm interested in what is happening there. And so I went, and I was actually surprised about the advice that was given, because it was actually directly going against the visa regulation. And I mean, but then also noticing there's so many Indonesians attending there. I remember WhatsApping Sonia and saying, you don't believe where I am now. And then Sonia said the picture with the airplane in the ceiling, it was kind of blown us away about the type of building that you find in between the rice fields in Bali. But it's also the openness in which this happens and is going on for a while already without reading criticism about it. So I think it's a message, I think, for everyone to really open their eyes and look at what's happening, because sometimes it's happening in front of us, right? And it's not something hidden. So yeah, some famous last words from Gus, maybe Sonia. I think Devi kind of wrapped it up a little bit from her side already. Gus, maybe you. What's what do you want to share with us before we end?
Yeah, I think it's good to have like Singaraja Literary Festival, and I want to be like a lot of people more active in this kind of event, because you know right now people is not reading so much, but hopefully when they see the visual and they want to dig more about the issue, that's why I share my my artworks through social media, so people have question what it's all about, because you know human always having question about everything, curiosity. So like the latest artwork that I put, that a person that shitting in the toilet, watching the culture, watching the Balinese scenes, I want to trigger people to questioning, is it normal, or something wrong is happening and without we're knowing. So
I think you mean this one, right?
This, yep. I want people to, you know, questioning more, discussing, doing discussion about this, and maybe like event like Singaraja and Ubud Moderator Festival or other event that's similar with this will, you know, more giving away for the people to know about the issues surround them, because I know some people become a big when they become a big event, there are a lot of permits to fulfill, and then there's gonna be from the government will asking about the list, the speaker and everything. But I really hope that we still have freedom to speak up, freedom to, writing and doing research and dig more about the issue. I think that will make Balinese more aware about the situation. Otherwise, something bad will happen, like they clash with each other because they know later, or they is too late to know about situation because because the politics, because the economics and everything that divide them and not become one voice. I really hope that seeing a lot of event like this in the coming maybe months, years, so we can educate more people that we are not okay. We need to think about our roots. We need to think about where we're going, because in a couple of years, all the tourism objects will become stagnant, and then people searching for new things, and then probably they go to the north, as now they conquer the East Bali and building a resort and everything. And then when the highway to north is will be built in the next year, I think the same thing will happen to the north. So I want people to, more aware about this situation. And
Thank you, Gus.
Coming to the network.
We can still hear you, but the audio is a little bit less good since your ear dropped off. But I think it's a great connection to Sonia for the wrap up of this session, because what Gus is saying, Sonia, the highway will be built. They're coming to the north. So how are you going to be strong enough to hold the tourists, or at least welcome the tourists in a way that they're not going to destroy your area?
Okay, for me, what is it? This festival is actually to want to encourage young people to speak braver, that this is the legacy that we have, and not to be sold out, not to be sold to new colonialists. And education and art and journalism could help this legacy to live on and on, because our voice will be spoken out and will be heard louder and louder. And I hope that that change doesn't happen soon in Singaraja, at least not in 10 years, because I'm not ready. Okay, so yeah, thank you so much, everyone. This is a very serious discussion, and thank you, Sanne, thank you, Mbak Devi, thank you, Gus Dark, Pak Rio, Mbak Teraya, Mikaela, and Erma, and all. Thank you so much. I invite you all to come to Singaraja Literary Festival, especially for you who are in Bali. So we'll see and discuss and yeah, talk more. Thank you, Sanne.
Thank you. Thank you, Sonia. And thank you to our guests, Devi and Gus, but also thank you to everyone attending and raising your voice and contributing to the conversation. Really, really insightful. Go to the Instagram page of the festival to know more about what is happening this weekend in person in Singaraja. I would also love to hear your feedback on this webinar. So I put a link to a feedback form, and of course the link to the donation. And Sonia and I are also part of the Writing for Transformation. I write in transformation, but the Writing for Transformation course, where we dive a little bit deeper into the topic of decoloniality So if that is something that is of your interest, have a look there as well. And I wish everybody a good rest of the evening and a rest of the day if you're not in a Bali time zone. And let's organize events like this more often. I'm looking forward to a follow-up discussion. Thank you, everyone.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank you so
you.
much.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you so much.